Hi, welcome to Midday Roast with Team SI. This is just a chance for everyone here at Team SI to share the latest in data and technology and digital marketing with our clients and friends. I'm Laney Bird. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Team SI. And today I have with me John Morgan. John Morgan is our SEO manager, and he's with me today because today we're talking about Google My Business Post and how to use them. It's something new that Google just rolled out in the last couple of weeks. But before we get started talking about Google My Business, I want to make sure that I take a chance and I share our little show right here on Facebook. So I'm going to share it on Facebook to see who I can get to follow and get my friends on here. And I want to encourage you to go ahead and share it too. Share it, like it, and let us know. Let your friends know what's going on, and we can build our audience here. So we're take a minute and there we go. I've shared it. Did you share it, John?
I did.
All right, we've got it shared. If you have a question as we go, please don't hesitate to leave a comment, and Grace will shout it out and let us know what's going on. Also, if you have a question later, just leave a comment when we're not live. You can also follow us on our podcast and on our website, on social media, in Twitter and Instagram. So, Google My Business. So why don't we start off, John, with just what is Google My Business and why should a small business pay attention to that, or any business?
Sure, yeah. So Google My Business is a place where Google has given us the opportunity, and business owners, the opportunity to go out and claim their listing on Google. And it's usually associated with a storefront, brick and mortar. And so that gives you the control over the name of the business, make sure that's correct, address, phone number, all those really critical things that people, when they go online and they're looking for your business or a business that offers the services and products that your business offers, that's an opportunity for you to show up and bring in more people. And you want to make sure your information is correct so that people find what they're looking for and know what to expect when they come to your business.
Right, so Google My Business listings show up in two places, if I'm correct. They show up on Google Maps. So if you're in Google Maps, that information shows up as the listing information in Google Maps. Plus it shows up on just a Google search in that map for pack. And then specifically, if you search for a specific business name and Google already knows it's the business, it shows up in the knowledge pack. Is that the right word for that? That right-hand side knowledge card, knowledge graph?
Yeah, there have been a few different names for
Knowledge
it.
graph, it's that.
Yeah, we usually stick with knowledge graph.
Yeah, not knowledge pack. Map pack, knowledge graph. I was combining them.
There are a lot of different names for that.
Right. So besides name of your business, it gives you a description. It also will show you hours. It's kind of cool. Like if you're headed someplace, you search for it, and it's going to close. It's closed now. Hey, this place is closing the next hour. So it's important for a business to go ahead and claim that listing so they own that. And, we work with a lot of automobile dealerships and equipment dealers, small businesses, law firms, and also universities, healthcare clinics, and hospitals. And it's important for all those people to claim that listing because, A, it allows you to make sure that you have accurate information and it's locked down where no one else can change it. In the past, Google would let anyone edit the information, and I know that you and I both have worked places, large institutions where individuals would edit it and change the main phone number to some secondary office phone number and drive the person that answered that phone crazy. So that's the way to solve that problem is claim this business, lock it down where no one can change it. Now, why don't you talk to me about the claiming process for Google My Business, because I think sometimes it's a little confusing, but why don't you walk through the simple steps for that? It doesn't have to be that bad.
Sure, and thankfully it has gotten a lot easier over time. It used to be really convoluted, especially when Google Plus was a big deal and they were somewhat associated, but not a really smooth transition there. But they've really gotten their act together, thankfully, and so the process now is pretty straightforward generally. There are still some situations you can get into with ownership and with things like a business move that can make for a little bit hairy of a claiming situation, but generally it's pretty straightforward. So there's two ways that I usually recommend going about it, and there are additional ways to do this that Google has introduced that look to be really useful, and we're still experimenting with those, and we've had good success. But generally, there is a postcard verification method, And so what happens in that case is that you go on to the portal and you say, this is my business, I want to claim this business.
You have to log in with the name and password, right?
That's right. And so you'll be able to find your business. You go to business.google.com, you can search for your business name, and generally your business will already show up. Now that's where it kind of starts to get interesting, because if your business is new, you can create a new listing right there and then claim it. But if your business already exists on Google, then you can claim it from there and correct any information that may be incorrect and stuff like that. So the postcard verification method involves you saying, okay, Google will send this postcard that has I think it's about 5 or 6 digit PIN, and you will be able to enter that number once it comes through the mail. They say give it a couple weeks, but generally it doesn't take long at all. Maybe we've seen it turn around in a few days, really. And so you'll get the postcard, and you open it and log back in and enter that number, and you're good to go. And it's as easy as that. The second other extremely common method is to claim by a phone call. And so Google will have a robot call you, and it says your number is 123456, and you enter that number right away, and that's a really quick instant
So if you have an existing listing that has the correct phone number,
yes,
you can get it claimed really quickly. If not, you have to create that new one and go through the postcard process.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, literally, we've worked with a lot of clients through this process, even some who have complicated phone trees that we've said, disconnect your phone tree for 2 minutes while we get this number to come through and then reconnect it. And we've gone through that process. Because literally, we really believe claiming your Google listing is that important. It's one of the foundational elements of marketing, making sure that your business shows up on Google. So when you build brand awareness for your business at the top of the funnel and people start wanting to know more in their interest in the consideration phase, they start searching for you and move down the funnel, and you're there. Your business is there, and you have correct information, so you can go ahead and they can take action and start engaging with you. All right, so that's Google My Business. So let's move to the next stage of the process and talk about this new feature, Google Post. So first off, just tell us what a Google Post is, and as a consumer, where I would see it.
Right, so a Google Post is a relatively new feature, and we can kind of talk about the back history of it in a second. It's pretty interesting. But right now, and it's still kind of rolling out across the nation, so that's becoming more and more available. But right now, if you look for a business that has a Google Post that's live, what you'll see is, if you search for a brand, for example, a car dealer or a hospital or something like that, now you'll see that knowledge graph, that answer, knowledge source on the right, that card. And so at the bottom of it, you will see, depending on how many Google Posts they've created, it will show 2.5 at a time in a search result. So if there's only one live, then you'll see one down there, and it will be in that box. And so that's where
it's got a little map, the information like the business name, hours, maybe a menu, and then another little picture carousel with a picture and some words to move across. So that's where we're seeing it off and on. Really, people have to go in and start using them first.
Yes, that's right. So it's generally rolled out across most industries. One thing that I did read very recently is that it's actually not available for the hotel industry right now, which is kind of interesting. If your business category is set to hotel, then it's not available yet.
Yeah, and basically that knowledge graph shows up when someone has searched directly for your business name. So when someone searches directly for your business name and is in your general vicinity, you'll see that knowledge graph with the Google Post up there. So it's a great opportunity, some very valuable real estate on that search engine result page that Google is giving to the business owner. And from Google's perspective, what they're trying to do is create a very positive, interactive, engaging environment in their search results. So Google's playing the game, they're innovative, and they're staying ahead of the curve to keep engaging all their current users, because they don't want to lose market share to Yahoo or Bing or Apple Maps or anything else out there. Okay, so let's take a half-second break, and why don't you tell us about the history of Google Posts, because you did some interesting research you were telling me about earlier about when these were first introduced and experimented, and I love the concept behind it, because it really shows you how Google's innovating and A/B testing things, and they try something and they like it, and they roll it out permanently.
Yep. So what's really cool is Google introduced this posting feature as a feature back last year in January when the presidential race was going on, and so it was like I think they call it like a candidate card or something like that. And so it gave candidates the option to post information, or sometimes it would be a news feed or whatever it may be. And then that fizzled out, obviously. And then in March of 2016, it became available to a few, like very small number of local businesses, kind of in a beta testing mode. And then as of late June, it became available to everybody else, and so it became a nationwide product.
Cool. So definitely it shows you how Google tries something with a specific arena. They have real positive information, and then they roll it out to beta to make sure the interface works, and then they roll it out nationwide.
Yep.
Now, okay, so say I have a local business. How do I go about the process of creating a Google post and adding it?
So that's a good question. So if you're familiar with Google My Business and logging into your business account on Google, it will be an option that says post on the side. It's very clear. It's a very straightforward process to create a post. We've played around with a few different types of posts, and the ease of access is there. The streamlined user experience is very well done. So it's as easy as clicking on New Post, and then it gives you an option for the event title, uploading a picture, what type of post you want it to be. For example, there are events, there are offers and stuff like that. You can add call to action buttons on there, so things like claim this reward or receive this offer, sign up, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it sounds really familiar to me. Like if I'm creating a Twitter post or a Facebook post, it's very simple. Just a short. Is there a limit to the amount of text you can put in?
I'm not sure. I think it's around 300 if there's a limit. I think they more recommend 100 to 300 words
Right.
in the body. Definitely you want to keep it short and sweet, because only the first 100 words will show up
Okay,
in that snippet.
You definitely want to keep it
search.
short. So what about the image? Is the image required?
I don't know if it's required per se. I know that if you do put an image on a post, it has to be 250 by 250.
Oh, wow.
And really the ideal size is about 750 by 750 with the pixel density of today's devices. You want it to be clear and sharp and show it well.
Cool.
But yeah, you want to have a good picture, and also think about the positioning of that picture. For example, if you're posting a picture of somebody's face, you don't want it to be aligned to the left or the right, because if it gets cropped, then you could be chopping off somebody's head, and we don't want that.
Cool. Definitely, you have to just kind of experiment with it after you upload it and see how it actually looks on the page. Now, when I make one of these posts, if I'm a local business, does Google have to approve that post, or does it just go live automatically?
It goes live automatically.
So when I create a post, so do I just take it down and replace it, or you said that I could have it showed 2.5. So how long do my posts stay up?
Good question. So 2 things about that. As far as the total number of posts you can have live at a given time, I believe there's a limit of 10 right now.
Okay, 10 posts.
So the thing is, though, like I said earlier, you're only going to see 2.5 of them at a time in the search result. So you've got to be mindful of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they do expire automatically. They'll go away just after 7 days. The good thing about that is that Google will give you a warning on that 6th day that you have a post that's about to expire. So you have an opportunity to go in and address that if your offer is still live or whatever the case may be. The exception to that is with events, because you can set an event date more than a week out in the future and not have to worry about it disappearing and going in and having to make that event live again. So that will persist.
Okay, but is there, in the Google posting tool, in the tool used to post Google Post, is there a way to schedule that? Like, we see other tools like Facebook, and Facebook has in Instagram. Facebook has a scheduling tool now. Does Google Post have a scheduling tool?
It's a very rudimentary scheduler. It will let you determine the event start and the event close, and so that's kind of how you schedule it.
Right. And since this is a new tool, are we seeing integration with Google Post with any social media tools or any business listing tools like SweetIQ or Yext? Have you seen that show up yet?
I haven't heard news about that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they roll that out very quickly, because it does seem to be a really handy and useful tool for a suite of tools like that to offer. It's
Yeah.
just
I would definitely think I would see the Hootsuite, the Sprout Social, the Mountworka, what we're using now for social media posting, to have that integrated. But I also would think that SuiteIQ, Yext, or those kind of tools would actually we'd see the integration from both sides come into that, because it really makes it convenient,
Exactly.
specifically if you're managing for a large number of locations. Now, I also read something when I was reading about the Google Post, is that you can actually post to multiple locations. Is that true, or did I misinterpret that?
So I think by nature of the Google My Business dashboard, since you can control multiple locations through there, you can post to multiple locations through it. But you can also control it individually. I'm not exactly sure if you can say, okay, I want this post to go live for if you manage 50 locations at a time. I'm not exactly sure if that is a feature yet, but you can
Right.
certainly-
We've definitely seen the evolution of the Google My Business platform
Definitely.
to allow the user from being a single small business and you have to have an individual login to all those, to being to aggregate all of yours, all your different business locations, to the point now that they're providing roll-up data. Because I think that's the coolest thing to me about Google My Business is, as a small business, I can see the actual value of this and how many people viewed my listings in the Knowledge Graph, how many people viewed in Maps, and the kind of actions they took from the Google My Business listings to see if they requested directions, if they visited the website, if they made a phone call or they looked at a menu. And now we've seen in the analytics too, they can say they viewed the Google My Business or they clicked on the link. We're seeing pretty low click-through rates in our clients, nothing to write home about, but I really think it's because it's a new feature that, when we see it, as I said, in the wild, it's kind of different and interesting and surprising to us. It's something that we don't know that's going to be there. Right.
Yeah, and one thing that I would point out that from a measurement standpoint is that it doesn't directly, the Google posts don't directly pull data or push data to Google Analytics. So you've got to be really mindful if you're linking to your website from a Google post that you want to use like a UTM tag URL or a custom URL tracker of some kind so that you can more accurately measure who clicked on what Google post at
And what they did when they got on your website.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's a really good tip. Because really, we want to be able to see the attribution funnel and see when someone comes from these Google posts, Google My Business post, and what happens and what they do when they come to your website, how long they spend, and what they do on your site. So, in the end, to wrap it up, kind of tell me why, if I own a small business or why should I care? Why should I start using Google Post?
Yeah, good question. So, one of the reasons that I would say is because a lot of times with new tools like that, when we see a new feature in search, people do get more and more interested about it, and we'll see a ramp up of usage really relatively quickly. At first, it will be kind of low. People don't really know what's going on, and then you see it ramp up. And so when that usage ramps up, you want to make sure that you have any available offers available there. So, for example, if you're a restaurant and you have a lunch coupon or a lunch deal, then when somebody looks for your business to see your hours or get directions or whatever it may be, find your menu, they'll see that offer right there along with your the rest of your hours and name, address, phone number kind of stuff, and they may be able to capitalize on that, whereas they wouldn't have known about that offer before without going through a lot of additional steps, calling you or clicking or through the website, stuff like that.
Yeah. So definitely highly valuable real estate where Google's giving you this information for Google My Business post. And it's a new thing, so there's not a lot of competition in that space. And here at Team SI, that's always what we're looking for, a place where we have a big audience and not a lot of competition for you to advertise your business, because you're going to get a really high return when you're playing in that space, when you're advertising and working in that space. Cool. So really want to thank John for joining us today and sharing with us about Google My Business Post, and let you know if you have any questions about Google My Business Post, or Google Maps or SEO Authority. I'd love for you to let us know at Team SI. You can leave a comment on this Facebook Live. You can send us an email or fill out a form on our website, or visit us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook with We Are Team SI. I really appreciate everyone joining us today. And we'll be back next week at 11:45 on Thursday on Facebook Live, and our podcast after that. Thank you.